Welcome back to the fantastic Final Fantasy VIII Remastered, Demastered playthrough. It's been an epic week, and I'm ready. I'm ready to play some Final Fantasy VIII. I need to remember where we at here. We did. Oh, we gotta go to Lunatic Pandora, right? So, it's been a crazy week. Hollow Month is finished, and we hit our final incentive, which is the Doom Ultra Nightmare run, so I've been practicing that all week, and it's been a very interesting journey. Yeah, it's been rough. Ultra Nightmare, don't screw around. Where's my ship? Have you seen my ship? I think it's over here. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a crazy week of doing that. I have so many incredible plans moving forward to this month. I'm working on a ton of different projects. We're gonna be doing some scavenger mod later today. I also have another Final Fantasy VII mod that is in the works, and by in the works I mean should be done soon. And then I also have a giant project I've been working on for months and months and months that's finally reaching its end. And so I'm really excited to show off all of that. And I have a couple other things down the pipeline, but because I've been sick and because Hollow Month and everything, it all to kind of go on wait. But now that we're in November and there's nothing crazy going on, I can fulfill all these crazy projects that I've started. So I'm very excited for all that. I'm also very excited for the Final Fantasy VIII Let's Break Final Fantasy VIII playthrough that we'll be doing directly after this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, just to let everyone go crazy and talk about the game and show off all the crazy stuff. Because this game, I feel like part of experiencing Final Fantasy VIII is breaking it, you know? Like, it seems like whenever I talk to anybody about Final Fantasy VIII, they always talk about how they broke it, and the stuff that they enjoyed breaking, and stuff, and the grind to make Squall a god at level 1 and all this stuff. So, like, I feel like that's part of the experience, and that's kind of why I want to do this Let's Break Final Fantasy VIII playthrough, is that it's kind of part of experiencing this game, is learning how to break it and mastering it. So I think it'll be a ton of fun. It'll be fun to watch everyone just kind of talk about how they broke the game and being able to just talk openly about the story and everything. So I'm excited for that. Where is Lunatic Pandora? I thought it was over here. Or is it over here? There it is. There it is. Hard to miss that. Okay, do I fly into it or do I walk into it? I think I fly into it. Bonk. No? Bonk. Okay, you don't fly into it. Oh, dang it. I didn't mean to do that. Get out of the way! Wouldn't let me land. So, the other thing this week that happened is I had to go get blood drawn for the first time in a long time. But let me tell you, that was an experience. I didn't expect such an experience. You know, like in today's age, getting blood drawn is kind of like just, you know, it's pretty simple. You know, like it's pretty idiot proof at this point. You just kind of go and get your blood taken and that's it. Ooh, an Iron Giant. Wow, he looks right out of Final Fantasy VII too. That's cool. Ooh, haste. Might take a minute and stop it. So, yeah, I went to the doctor because I was sick for like a month. As you know, I was sick like the entirety of October. Couldn't get any of the stuff I wanted done finished because I was just being sick. Luckily, we still, you know, Hollow Month still went great, but other than that, I got like absolutely nothing done. And so I finally went to the doctor and I was just like, listen, I got like a cough, but I've had it for like a month and we need to cut this out. So I got some medicine and got better, but then he also said that he wanted me to take, go get some blood drawn so we can just kind of, you know, see what's going on. And I haven't gotten blood drawn in a very long time, so it's just a healthy thing to do. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I'll go get blood drawn. So, but I haven't gotten blood drawn since I was, like, in high school. I had I got allergy testing done. That's the last time I got my blood drawn. So, even though getting your blood drawn is a pretty simple thing, I was kind of nervous going in. Like, just kind of, you know, well, not really nervous, but just, like, okay, hope this goes alright. So I walk in, and they have me sign in, and they give me that piece of paper that you have to fill everything out. I want to mug this guy, because I feel like he has something good. So I'm sitting there. Where's my bubbles? So I'm sitting there filling out the form, and some woman that works there walks up to the woman that I walked up to sign in, and I hear him talking, and one of the first things that she says, she walks over, where's my protect? So she walks over. I'm sitting there filling out my paperwork. Like I got my paperwork here, right? And I'm just like sitting here filling out my paperwork. And she walks over and she goes, "That little baby's gonna die." And I'm sitting here filling out my paperwork and I'm like, you guys want me to wait? Like, you want me to just... I can go. Like, I'm just getting blood drawn. If there's a baby dying in this building, like, you wait on me, okay? I'm fine. I'll be alright. You take care of that. Like, what? I'm just sitting there oh, okay, my name, my address. I hear that. I'm like, what in the world is going on in this facility? And then... like, she shrugs it off. And then, like they go back to work. And I'm like, what? Is this some kind of inside joke that you decided to say loud enough for the people in the waiting room to hear? Like, this is not... that's not a good inside joke. That's not funny. Not... not in this place of work. So that happens, and I'm like, okay. So now I'm even more apprehensive. Then I go into the room where they're gonna draw my blood, and there's two women in there. And I sit down, and the first woman, who's a lot younger, comes up to me, and she grabs the needle, and she goes, "So I'm a student. Is it okay if I draw your blood?" And I go, "This is the end. This is, just take me now." As soon as that happens, you know, like, as soon as that happens, you're like, this is going to be a problem. And you can't say no. Like, I didn't want to say no. But part of me wanted to say no. Like, part of me wanted to say, listen, there's like a baby dying. I just heard about a baby dying. Can we just have like the normal person do it? I'm not up for this like student thing. But I said yes. And she pulls, so she goes through the rigmarole and everything's fine. And then she puts in the needle, right? And I won't say anything more than that because I know some people are like squeamish about needles. She puts in the needle, okay? And she looks at me, and she looks at the vial, and I'll try to say this as unsqueamish as possible. Some blood went into the vial and then stopped, okay? It like started to fill up and then stopped. And she looks at it, and then the last thing I ever wanted to hear, like, there's ways to deal with this, and she did not, this was not the way to deal with it. She responds as if she's a teenager who was just told they can't have pizza. Like, the way she responded, she was like, wow, it started and then it stopped. Like, she said it in like a like a teenagery, like, annoyed. Like, I've never in my life heard somebody operating on me talk in an annoyed way. Like, I didn't know how to react. She's just like, wow, it started and then it stopped. And I'm looking at her like, so am I dead or what? I mean, it's your thing here. I'm just sitting here. Like, you don't... You're annoyed. I'm the one with the needle in me. Like, hello? So then the real nurse comes over, and she's just like, oh, you just have to hold it down at this angle, and then it works, and then it's fine. And I'm like, oh my god, this is a disaster. And then she gets the vials mixed up. I'm not making this up. It sounds like I'm making this up now. She gets the vials mixed up. Like, I don't know why it mattered. There was a green one and a purple one, and she tried to do the purple one first. And the nurse was like, no, green first. And the way she said it was like, you're going to kill him if you do that. But it was just two vials that were different colors. Like, they both took the same blood. I don't know why it had to be that order. But the way she said it was like, you almost killed him just now. I'm like, how are you getting the vials mixed up? And then she says, and I swear to you, I'm not making this up. She says 3 different times by the time I left the room. 3 different times she said, well, it's early. As in, like, I haven't woken up yet. This is why I'm making all these mistakes. You know, something you would say if you just got hired for a fast food job and you forgot that cheese goes on the double cheeseburger. Like, oh, sorry, it's early. You know, I'm not checked in yet today. Haven't had my coffee. And I'm thinking, like, you got to get your stuff together here, okay? You can't. This is not an excuse. If I was a doctor, I was like, oh, okay, I need to amputate your arm. You know, we're gonna have to amputate this arm. And then after the amputation, the guy's like, my leg, you took my leg. And I'm like, oh, sorry, you know, it was early. I forgot that I was amputating your arm. Took off your leg by mistake. My bad. Didn't have my coffee yet. Like, no, it's not. You can't. That's not an excuse that you give in a medical facility. Like, what in the world? She said it like 3 different times. She's like, well, it's early. You know, sorry, my bad. It's early. Unbelievable. And then, like, if the stars had not aligned enough to just make this the most weird medical procedure ever, when I got up out of my chair afterwards, I looked at the real nurse. Are you ready for this? Because I don't think you're ready for this. Her last name was Trump. It was just Trump. It was Trump. Her last name was Trump. It's not a political thing. It was just weird. It was strange. I'm not gonna lie, it was weird. Like, it was very weird. I don't know, like, I don't know why it was weird, but it was just really weird, okay? I don't know why. And then, when I got up, my last name is King, okay? It's a very common last name. Super common last name. She says, oh wow, King. I have a friend whose last name is King. And I almost said, that's a really cool coincidence. I have a president whose last name is Trump. I didn't say it. I almost said it, though. I was really close to saying it. the thing is, I don't know where her comedy was. Like, I didn't know her. I didn't really feel out how her sense of humor was. So I didn't know if I said that, if her response would be like, haha, good one, or if her response would have been like, he's all of our presidents. What are you talking about? This is America. And then I would have just been like, all right, I'm going to go. So I didn't say it, but I almost said it. I was really close. I was so close to saying it. But it was like, it should have been so easy. Like, it should have just been, I walk in, I sign in, they take my blood, I leave. It should have been like a 5-minute thing. And instead it was like this giant, crazy ordeal. It was interesting, okay? I don't think I'll ever worry about getting blood taken again, because I don't think it could ever be as ridiculous as what I went through. I don't think it could get any crazier. That was weird. It was weird. I'm still kind of weirded out. Why do you... Death, why don't you ever organize your spells? Yeah, the behemoths are pretty chunky in this game. I could do a series on YouTube about bad experiences. Yeah, that won't be like everything ever. That won't be like everyone. I don't know. I already get yelled at enough for talking about anything other than Final Fantasy VIII, so... I'll just tell my stories, but I'll pretend like it's something that Squall did. So Squall went to go get his blood taken. And you won't believe what happened to him. Just call it a fan theory and everyone will love it. I have a fan theory about Squall. Yeah, Mendo, we found out that Shinzei is also from Malta. He is Maltese, from Malta. I found that pretty funny. It's such a small country. We have two people that, like, are here all the time that are from that specific country. Remember that time Squall ate a gyro while everyone watched? I berserked him. I'm not sure that's good. That's probably not even that good. Yeah, now that you mention it, I remember that. I think there might be 3 people in our community from Malta. That's cool. Small world. I mean, I've met a number of people from Ohio that did not start watching me because I was from Ohio. They found out later. That's kind of cool. One person in particular lived like literally a town away from me. And like back when I lived in a small town, like it was probably like 20 minutes away from my house. Like, wow, that's really neat. You listen to a 4-8 gaming podcast? We used to have a podcast. Back in the day, we had a podcast. It was pretty sweet. The best thing about our podcast is that more people were on the podcast than watched the podcast. That's like, you don't understand how meta this podcast was. It was truly on another level. That podcast was fun though. We talked about like, we did like a top 5 every week, where like all 3 of us on the podcast would prepare a top 5 of something. So like, one week was like top 5 favorite games, and we just, all 3 of us would rattle off our top 5, and we talk about each other's top 5s. And that was pretty cool. That's a weird statue. Solomon ring. What's that? Mysterious old ring. Can't summon GF. What? What does that even mean? What do you mean can't summon it? Why not? Just do it. Just summon it. Just do the summon. Do the roar. Alright. Hey, how's it going, Scoot? Ooh, that's a new, Ooh, I got rare item. Who learns that? You? 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 Yeah. Let's see. I feel like auto protect is pretty cool. I don't know, though. I wouldn't really use an ability for that, though. Just do some magic instead. Everybody's kind of got all the abilities I want on them now. So... should I put on rare item? Is strength bonus even worth it? Because I have max strength. And granted, it'll give me more like base strength, but... I don't even think that's worth it. Yo, Scoot! Thank you for the gifted sub to Axel. Welcome to the crew, Axel. Enjoy the beautiful emotes and the badge. Thanks so much for being part of our community. This giant foot is for you. Hope you enjoy that. Pretty neat foot. Is that all that's here? Is this not where I was supposed to go? Am I a big dummy? Aha! You've been thwarted. We never saw it coming. So yeah, we were talking earlier about how I kind of have a theory that like the games that we see now that are being remastered is going to be like the last time we ever see them, if that makes sense. And it kind of led me to wonder. I wonder if the PS5 is going to have a Final Fantasy VII port, because like they say that it's backwards compatible, right? So my hope is that you can play digital PS4 games on your PS5. Like the library is there, and you can just, you know, play whatever you want to play. That's the hope. If it's not that way, then I have no idea what they're doing. Because like, if you could only do physical games, that would be completely silly. So when they tell me that it's backwards compatible, that tells me that we can play the digital games. So if we can play the digital games, then that means that we can just play PS4's Final Fantasy VII port on PS5. So that should mean that the PS4 port of Final Fantasy VII is pretty much the last we ever see. Because there'd be no reason to bring it back on any other console. But whenever I think that they're done making Final Fantasy VII ports, whenever I think they're done making Final Fantasy VII ports, they somehow make another, so. Go, Aqualu! Thank you so much for the 29 months! Dang, this is a long time sub. It is. I've known you since I was a child. Since I was a small boy. Living in a small world. And you came to me and you said, Death, play some games for me. And I was like, anything for you. And that's how I got started. That's how it all started. Squall's compatibility with Shinzei WoW went up 3. That's great. I didn't know that's what that did. Mystery fluid. Yuck. I don't know if Crisis Core will ever happen, because copyright. Not sure how much better they could make Crisis Core look either. But there are some, like, PSP ports they do that look really nice. It wasn't PSP, but Gravity Rush, which was a Vita game, the PS4 port of that looks really nice. I gotta imagine that porting PSP games is kind of complicated, because the resolution of the PSP is so weird. Like, it's a pretty weird console in terms of the way it works, so But, like, Type 0 worked out well, so... Yeah. Yeah, Type 0 looks good. I've never seen tutorials look so good. If you're looking for some high-quality tutorial action, be sure to check out Final Fantasy Type 0 Remastered. Yeah, Crisis Core, they wanted to bring back Crisis Core for a lot of different things, and because of copyright they couldn't. Or rather, I guess they had to change it too much that they decided not to. I don't know the whole story, but that's what I've heard, is that a lot of the copyrights with the music and with the character, it's mostly the character. Genesis, the guy that they based him off of was like, "You shall never use me again for anything." And so now they're like screwed. That's what I've heard. I think it was Genesis. Listen, I don't know much about it. You can Google it, probably figure something out. Holy! Oh my god, it looks so goofy. Well, let's see. Let's see if I can find anything within like 2 seconds of Googling it. This guy says that the song Eyes on Me is a problem. Oh, that's Final Fantasy VIII, though. Finding anything specific. So, Gackt, G-A-C-K-T, is a Japanese musician and singer, and his likeness was used to create Genesis. And then, I guess, I mean, they don't say anything about it on the wiki, but it seems like he either said, "You can only use my likeness for this one game," or later said, "You can't use my likeness," or something. And that's part of the reason why Crisis Core is stuck. But this doesn't really give me any details. I still find that kind of weird, don't you guys? Like, am I the only one that finds that really strange? That you would take, like, a real-life person and use them as, like, the likeness for a character? Like, it doesn't happen very often, does it? I can't think of another time where that's, like, ever happened, other than, like, new games where they use actors, like, Keanu Reeves, and, what was the other one? Wasn't it, I thought it was Infinite Warfare. Anyways. Yeah, so, like, they use real actors nowadays because they can actually make the characters look like them and use motion capture and all that. But yeah, I don't know, I always find that kind of weird. Okay, so how do I get in this bad boy? Isn't this where I'm supposed to go? There was Shaq Fu. You know, you got me there. What better example? Peace Walker did it? No, I don't know where we're going. You guys aren't very helpful. Not gonna lie. Kind of hoping you'd be more helpful. I'm pretty sure I talked to everyone. I thought they said I gotta go to Lunatic Pandora. Maybe I'll go talk to him again. But I'm pretty sure I talked to Odine and he was like, hey, go to Lunatic Pandora. Hey, how's it going, Ben? Thanks for coming, man. I guess it's time to go play cards. Hey, when in doubt, play cards. That's what I always say. When in doubt, trigger the entirety of YouTube by playing cards for 2 hours. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do, man. Oh! I turned on ×3. Whoops. I love how Selfie runs. I like how she just picks up her nunchuck thing. What is actually the name of her weapon? Does it have like a more complicated name than nunchuck? Tonfas. That's right. Well, it says flail, but I guess that's just the name of the Tonfa, though. Anyways, she picks it up and runs with it. Like, it almost looks like she's saying, like, pack it up, boys, we're out. Like, you know that SpongeBob meme where he's like, alright, time for me to head out? That's kind of the way she runs. She's just like, you know, it's time for me to bail. Tonfas don't have a chain. So it would be... So it's more of a flail then than a tonfa. Isn't a tonfa like the two sticks, but not almost like two nightsticks? Almost looks like they're just kind of like two sticks, one in each hand. Isn't that what a tonfa is? So this is more of like a nunchuck or a flail. They never do explain, like, how they choose their weapons. That'd be kind of neat. I'm always interested in, like... Oh, this guy's just taking a nap. Why does this look like it's broken? It is broken. That's why. I'm always interested in, like, how characters choose their weapons. So it's like a cool thing. That's one of my favorite things about Kingdom Hearts. How each organization member has a different weapon, and it's like closely related to their personality. It's just cool. I don't know. I always thought that was neat. If I ever wrote a video game story or a story, I would try to implement something like that. It's just always something I thought was cool. Like if they just had like a little thing where maybe like they all go to a class and they choose their weapons or something. Neat. I think that, especially in like Japanese culture, I mean, I'm no Japanese culture genius. I know very little about Japanese culture, but from what I understand, a lot of it has, you know, a lot of like with weaponry and stuff. It's you're very like emotionally attached to the either the weapons or the fighting style that you use. So like with weapons, it's always cool in these games when they have like some kind of personal attachment to their weapon, or there's some reason that they chose that weapon in particular. I feel like there was a show I watched or a game I played where I feel like I remember watching a character go through some kind of ritual and it determines what weapon they get. Does this sound familiar to anyone? I feel like I remember playing a game where all the characters have to go through some ritual, and once they go through the ritual, they're given a weapon, and it's like their weapon. And I remember the main character getting some weapon that was like weak or like they didn't think was good. And then one of the big themes of the game was like they learned to wield that weapon correctly. Does this sound familiar to anyone? What is this game I'm thinking of? There's a movie that's kind of like that. Brother Bear. Have you ever seen Brother Bear? They go through a ritual to decide what animal is their spirit animal. And the main character gets a bear, and he's like, that's lame. And then he gets turned into a bear and realizes that bears are awesome. But what is this game I'm thinking of? Kung Fu Panda? It's not Kung Fu Panda, because I have not seen all of Kung Fu Panda. So it's not that. Even if it is, it's not. Not the one I'm thinking of. Why would anyone think a bear is that? Well, in the movie, the bear is like the sign of love or something, and he wanted like wisdom or strength or something. So when he gets love, he's like, this is lame. Like the guy is like a real jerk at the beginning of the movie. He's like a big jerk, and then he gets the love thing, and he's like, wow, I don't like loving. Then he like learns to love later. So I already talked to them and stuff, and we came up with our... Maybe I just had to say yes. Okay, I guess I just had to say yes. I asked all the questions, but I guess I never actually said yes. Let's go! We'll get aboard Ragnarok. Let's do the final briefing in there. I always wanted to ride that thing. Plus the name sounds so cool. There they go. Wait a second. Does Ward have a beard? How did I not notice that? Hey, how's it going, Zoo? Yeah, I don't know what this game is I'm thinking of. It was Mendo asked what weapon would I pick. I'd always pick dual daggers. Dual daggers has always been that weapon that I choose in like every game when I can. And whenever I used to write stories when I was aspiring to be an author, and my main characters always had like dual daggers. That was always my weapon of choice, so that'd totally be my like spirit weapon. Alright, we gotta ask the question now. Everyone on Twitch, everyone on YouTube, what's your spirit weapon? Let's hear it. What's your spirit weapon? If you had to pick, if you were in a movie or a video game or an epic quest where you had to do some ritual, and at the end of the ritual they gave you a spirit weapon that encapsulated who you were and your fighting style and your soul into a weapon, and you had to use that weapon for your quest, what would it be? Nuclear bomb. Well, okay. Well, I mean, so what you're saying is, you're a one and done kind of guy. You go in there, you drop the bomb, you're done. That's the end. A double axe guitar. Now we're talking. Dance, water, dance. In my heart, a katana. Realistically, an untied shoe. Yeah, I mean, a banana peel. A ruler, that's good. Double-bladed sword. When you say double-bladed sword, you mean like, what's that guy in Star Wars? Everyone's gonna laugh at me because I don't know Star Wars stuff. Darth Maul, I think, is the one with the double lightsaber. So you mean like front and back, right? An A10 Warthog. How's it going, Aaron? Did I get it right? It's Darth Maul, right? I got a Star Wars thing right. I'm proud of myself. Alright. Everyone. From here, we go straight to our final target, Ultimisia. Let's go over the plan again. First, enter Lunatic Pandora and rescue alone. Next, you fight Sorceress Adele. It'll be a surprise attack. Show no mercy. Now, here comes the tricky part, as if none of that was tricky. Adele will need to pass on her powers before being defeated. Renoa, will you be willing to accept them? Yes. Good. Next, we wait for the Sorceress Ultimisia to possess Renoa. This will be hard on you, Renoa, but will you do it? Yes. That's the spirit. Then, Alone sends Renoa and Ultimisia to the past. Alone brings back Renoa. Then, head to the future through compressed time. Ultimisia lives in the far future where none of us can technically exist. There's only one way to make yourself exist in a world like that. As friends, don't forget one another. As friends, believe in one another. Believe in your friend's existence, and they'll also believe in yours. Man, this sounds like a, sounds like a Pixar movie or something where, like, it almost sounds like Coco. Sounds like Coco, where if you have to believe in someone or else they don't exist. Also, I like this animation he's doing. He's like... Yeah, it's kind of weird how Laguna knows, like, everything now. He's been kind of clueless the whole game. Well, not really clueless, but, like... He's kind of taken on the leader of, like, Clueless Leader, where he kind of just goes in head first and then things work out. So it's funny that, like, now he knows everything. And he's the president. Oh my god, look at him. To be friends, to like one another, and to love one another. You can't do these things alone. You need somebody. Need somebody. Right, guys? What place reminds you of your friends? Imagine being in that place with all your friends. Once time compression begins, think of that place and try to get there. That's all. Well, that's probably going to be the orphanage. That place will welcome you. You'll be able to get there no matter what period you're in. You need love and friendship for this mission, and the courage to believe it. It's all about love, friendship, and courage. Good lord, it's time to duel. Sounds like we're in a Yu-Gi-Oh episode. I'm counting on you guys. Love and friendship and all that sounds corny, but everyone seems to be up for it. You think it'll succeed? We'll try. I like that Squall isn't like, oh! His leg's cramping up. God, he looked like he just had like a seizure. So like, I feel like in the beginning of the game, during that speech, Squall probably would have been like, wow, this guy's lame, and I don't believe in any of this crap. But now he's kind of like, well, that sounded cheesy, but it worked. So I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? He's kind of... I'm starting to see a little bit of the change in Squall. I mean, this game's kind of weird because it keeps showing changes in Squall, but then at the same time, a lack thereof, you know? And I think that's what makes this game kind of unique. I still haven't really decided if I like it or don't like it. Like, I don't know what you guys think. The normal way that games work is you have a character that's flawed that needs to change in some way, and then throughout the game they either don't change and then at the end have some revelation and change, or they gradually change over time. But Squall is like this up and down where like he starts to change and then goes back to his old ways, and then starts to change and then goes back to his old ways. It's kind of a little more realistic in a way. Because people don't really... I think it's very rare that somebody just changes for the better all the time. Like, it's always an up and down, you know? If you have a friend that's struggling with something, it's always like you see them one day and they're doing great, and then you see them the next day and they're down in the dumps, and then the next day they're good, and they kind of work through it in that way. That's kind of the way it goes for Squall. You can tell that he's starting to change, but then you get this really frustrating moment. And I think that's why games don't do this, because it's frustrating for the player. Like, imagine you have a friend who's struggling with name struggle here, and you talk to them and it sounds like they're doing really well, and then, you know, the day ends and you wake up the next day and you talk to them again and they're back to doing their bad thing. They're back to being awful. It's really frustrating to see someone go through that, and it's not fun. It's frustrating and hard, and it sucks to watch that happen, right? So I feel like games don't do that very often because it's more frustrating. It's more entertaining to watch someone slowly grow, or if you just see them always be struggling, then you get this feeling of like, man, I really want him to succeed, I really want him to succeed, and then they hit that big change at the end of the game, and then you feel happy. But having them constantly go in and out can be frustrating, and I think a lot of games shy away from that because they feel like you're just going to get frustrated with the character and then you're not going to like them. But this game isn't afraid to do that. It isn't afraid to make Squall feel like a real person who has ups and downs and has struggles that he actually struggles with. And like, I've been frustrated with Squall pretty much the whole game, but I think that's the point. And maybe that's something that I didn't get when I grew up playing this game. When I grew up playing this game, I feel like I just hated Squall, and that was it. I just wanted him to be a better character. But I'm starting to realize that I think the point of this game is almost for you to dislike Squall at first, you know? You want him to succeed, but he keeps failing, and you get more and more frustrated with him throughout the game. I feel like that's part of the identity of this game. I don't think... I used to think that that was bad character design, but I'm starting to flip the switch. I'm starting to feel like that's not bad character design, and it's more what they planned to do from the beginning. And I think that's also why the love relationship between Rinoa and Squall is so awkward and frustrating as a player to watch. I feel like it's on purpose. Like, especially that line when you first get onto the Ragnarok in space, and Rinoa's like, "We did it! We survived!" And Squall's like, "Shut up. It's not time to celebrate." And I had a lot of comments of people that were like, "I hate that line, because you just want him to finally be good and happy, and he's just like being a jerk again." But I think that was a very specific point that they wanted to make. Like, I think they made that line very specifically so that you realize that Squall really hasn't changed yet. Or might not ever change. You know? I don't know, it's interesting. I don't know if I've ever really... I mean, I've read stories where characters don't change, even though you want them to change. But usually it's like a side character. It's like that character that's a jerk because he's a jerk and there needs to be a jerk in the story. And then you want them to change, but it turns out that they're just really a jerk. But it's usually like the bad guy, or it's usually a side character. It's not the main character that you follow throughout the whole game. You know, the main character almost always changes for the better in the end. Or the exact opposite, he ends up being like worse. But Squall is like up and down and still right in the middle, you know? He's like... I don't even know if Squall's really gone up, you know? Like, he's gone up and down, but in general, is he going up? I'm not even sure. Seems like it, but I'm not sure. Definitely seems like it, though. It also seems like he wants to change in a way, which wasn't really true before. Here we go! Let's bust in there! I wonder if we can get through. Ah, don't worry about it. I love watching Rinoa just sit there. This is like her the whole game, just kind of like sitting there letting everyone else do the thing. But it's kind of a... Rinoa has an interesting character arc too, because when you first meet her, she's like the get down and dirty girl. Like, she's like in it. You know, she's the one doing the train mission and getting in there and getting stuff done. And then she slowly becomes what she is now, which is like a sorceress who's letting everyone else fight for her almost. Almost. She's still fighting, but she's changed quite a bit. Are the machine guns and main cannon ready? Ready! Let's just fire like crazy and make a big hole. Boom! I'm down. Okay, that was the worst plan ever. Shields! Woohoo! This is the worst plan. Just go straight... You could have just, like, smashed into that shield and died. You had no idea how it was going to work. Wow, it worked. God, this ship is so cool. Selfie logic. Hey, how's it going? How do I say your name again? Is it Kajirai? Is that right? I picked a great spot to join talking about Rinoa being the dirty girl. You know it. What? What is Zell doing? You know there's like no controls, right? Ready to go? Oh. Am I supposed to... We sure made a huge mess. Let's go. Are we good? We're good. I'm honestly shocked they didn't make me change my frickin' stuff again. Okay, I think I am supposed to talk to Zell. I was kind of wondering if Zell would, like... If I talked to Zell, if he would, like, leave. He's kind of jittering. Oh, okay, yep, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, there's no hole. What the? Okay. I guess that works. Hey look, it's the same enemies. See, this still is kind of like a frustration of mine with this game. Like, we finally made it to Lunatic Pandora, and it's like a big deal, and shouldn't there be like new enemies? Even if it's just a recolor. I've literally fought like 1,000 of these. Like, that's the thing. Like, we were talking earlier about enemy, you know, having a good variety of enemies, right? I don't think it's that important to have a huge variety of enemies. But I think the important thing is that when you reach a new area, you should be seeing new enemies. I think that's the important part. Like, that's what makes it feel like you're progressing, and that you're in a new area and there's new rules and you need to be careful and learn how these new enemies work. Like, that's one of the biggest, like, important things about RPGs, is that each area has different enemies that you need to learn to fight, and might have attacks you've never seen, and you might have to equip certain equipment to defend against it. You don't really have any of that in this game, because you go somewhere and it's just kind of like, oh, we fought those 2 places ago. You know? Like, I don't think it's that important to have a ton of new enemies. Like, especially on the world map. I was complaining about how on the world map a lot of the enemies are the same, but I don't think that's really that important. But what's important is that when we enter a brand new crazy area, there should be like, boom, holy cow, look at that big enemy, you know?